mark. 3, 2, 1.
Mark!
Beautiful. Oh my god, it's so good. We're so fucking good at
this.
this.
That was a solid
That
mark.
was very solid.
Man, just all that,
Really good.
that just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Felt a little bit of movement down there.
Being so, we're like in a band. We should make a band.
I'm thrilled. I'm ecstatic.
Called the 3 Marks.
Mark.
Right, that's how we're going to do it from now on. We have to barbershop Mark.
Okay.
All right, let's do a mailbag episode today.
Sure.
I've had some really good emails in.
Are they follow-ups
okay.
from previous, or are they all new?
We got some follow-ups, baby boy, and we got some new ones too.
Right.
But a lot of the follow-ups are quality.
Great.
And
I
to
do
give
love
you
a
some idea
follow-up.
of a quality follow-up, who remembers Zardy from last week's mailbag? He was the guy who went on a blind date.
Well, how could I forget?
I remember.
Right. So Zardy has followed up, answering some of the questions that we
Oh
had.
my god.
Right,
I
here we
cannot
go.
wait for this Zardy update.
Here we go. Had a lot of laughs hearing you read my email on the podcast. Thanks for that. You are very welcome, Zardy. Thanks for sending it in. First off, my name is of Iraqi Kurdish origin, so similar to Turkish, and my friends say I have the body hair of your average kebab boss man.
Nice.
But sadly, the voice of your average southerner.
I was really worried about the stereotyping of Zardy by you, period. I was thinking about it all week. I was like, was it offensive to call him like
Turkish or something?
Turkish kebab shop guy?
I just imagine, hello, I'm Zardy. Like, it just seems like a lad who'd try and sell you a Mercedes, a used Mercedes. Just say, just a top lad.
I was worried. But now, oh my god, it's so reassuring. It's nice. Thank you, Zardy. You've just undone all my week of not tension knots of anxiety.
Unpleasant?
It's good. It's good that he was cool with the racism. That's
racism.
That's literally what it is. Yeah.
He's just a lad from Bracknell, it turns out.
Nice.
Added context for the date. I got asked to do it last minute, and I found out on the date I must have been a replacement or second choice. When she arrived, she said, "You must be Matt." The newspaper gave her a different name, so he must have cancelled last minute, and they just got me to fill in.
So it wasn't. so this was all arranged by the paper as like a thing. This wasn't. They happened to go on a date, and then they were recounting it after. This was all like.
It's all through the Guardian.
So of course, sorry if you
Right.
did listen to the last one. Zardy was going on a blind date with this lady, but it was organized by the Guardian newspaper, and he was like 6 years younger than her.
Yeah,
he just they were a bit of a mismatch.
They're doing they were trying to do as the best they could to do a matchup.
Well,
yeah.
I think Zardy was trying his best, but as you'll find out, I'm not so sure that this the lady was on the level here. But you'll see. Overall, the Guardian seemed pretty disorganized and told me they would warn me the day before the article came out, but they did not. So
of course.
So it was a big shock when I found out, and I read her responses the same time as everyone else. If you remember, she gave him a 5 out of 10, and she was not impressed. I also did not ask her age on the date, so we both had no idea what age we were until the article was published. Not that I mind dating a very slightly older woman.
No.
And I think the date slightly soured about 2 hours in when she told me she had a child, which she did not mention in the article. I think I was in shock because she did not mention this until near the end. Not that I minded at all. I was just trying to be very conscious about what to say and didn't want to come off as rude. But in reality, I just froze, said nothing, and basically the date was over soon after that, which is, I reckon, why I got a 5 out of 10.
Right. So there was a bad reaction to that. I feel like on dating apps, that's like one of the things that is either on your profile or like you say immediately. There's certain things that,
I think that information needs to be shared.
And it is interesting that the age as well wasn't known. It is almost more old school, natural. You meet someone, you like them, you click. It doesn't matter what age they are. It doesn't matter if they have a child. It is like it's very different to the modern thing. It's almost like you already go through a series of filters now before you meet someone, and it would be unusual these days to not reveal that you have a child, or because I think it's quite a big thing, to consider taking on, in a partner.
It is, of course, of course.
So I can see why Zardy was like, oh,
yikes.
You're telling me this, okay?
Yeah, a couple hours in is not really the best. I guess it's not an easy one to Because I mean, you wouldn't want to just like turn up. Oh, hi there. Hi, my name is Brenda. By the way, I have 3 kids. You know,
you
what I
could
mean?
say
Like,
something like, "Sorry, I'm a bit late. I was on the phone to my nanny," or something like that.
Yeah.
Or my
You could
babysitter.
bring it
You
up
could drop
casually in
it in.
conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe she just wanted to live the fantasy of no kids. You know, she's got this hot guy. She's like, let's see how you know, it's just
She's landed Zardy here. You don't want to fuck that up.
that's like. Maybe she just wanted to
you could
rewind herself
imagine you
back.
turned up and you were just like, "Oh, sorry, I'm late. I was just having a really big fight with my son because he doesn't want a new dad. He's really doesn't
I showed him
want...
your picture. He
He's
started
interested.
crying.
I've tried to convince him, but
Well, I like this sign off. That Zardy's mum liked the article so much, she bought the newspaper, cut the article out, and left it on the coffee table for all the guests to see.
I framed it in glass.
It was a really nice picture, so I can imagine she's like, "There's my boy." Like,
it was a good picture.
It was a good picture.
For me, when I saw Zardy and I saw him smiling, it made me smile.
Yes.
Like, it actually filled me with joy, Zardy, to see your smiling face.
Lad,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it made me want to have a
Sex with
doner
Zardy.
kebab.
Oh, a doner
No.
kebab. Okay.
It made my mouth water.
That could be a good song name.
What,
Like the follow-up to Sex on the Beach.
Sex with Zardy.
Yeah.
It's a Zardy party. Let's get crazy. So here's an email. This is from Liam. We were talking about guinea pigs, about your guinea pigs, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And, hi, Triforce. Yes, they do eat guinea pigs in Peru, as I ate one there.
Yes.
I'm also pretty sure I saw them in Bolivia and Ecuador too. I was curious as to how this exotic cultural delight would taste and ordered it. I was expecting a cut or pieces of guinea pig meat on my plate. But when they brought it out, I felt like an absolute monster. Now I'm going to drag a picture into the Discord for you guys to have a look at. This is how they serve guinea pig.
Yes, I know. I've seen
this. To give
this.
anyone an idea, imagine you took a guinea pig, held it by one of its feet, and lowered it into a deep fat fryer.
It's pretty grim, yeah. I've seen on a TV show, I've seen on a TV show this exact same thing, but just with a stick in its ass.
Oh my god!
Basically, so you eat it like it's like a corn dog or something.
So here you go. It was served whole, eyes, paws, organs, everything, spread across my plate. And as the waiter put it down, he stared directly at my girlfriend for the entire meal. The guinea pig stared at his girlfriend. My advice to Sips, on the odd chance he's raising them for their sweet, sweet guinea flesh, don't do it. It tastes like stringy chicken meat and is incredibly tedious to get what little they offer from their tiny, bony bodies.
Noted. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing this trip report for us. This was needed. Because I almost made the mistake of raising these things just to eat them. So... Oh man!
Can you imagine one day?
Yeah.
Your kids got in and they were like, "Where's
Fluffy?
Nibbles? Where's Fluffy?
Look on the dinner table.
Stop! I can't eat your dinner.
Why is he so crusty? Oh man!
Deary me! All right, this is an interesting one, and it really made me laugh at the end unintentionally. All right, here you go. I'll try to keep this short. Long-time listener, etc. So this brings me to my point. After browsing through a work colleague's social media, I saw her have photographs with the Yogscast at a convention.
Right.
And from speaking to her, I found out she's just as big a fan as I am.
Oh.
So this colleague, affectionately known as Beans, is incredibly funny, gorgeous, and right up my street.
Oh, no.
And you reading this out would be an incredibly lovely way to ask her out on a date.
Oh my God.
From speaking to her, I know she listens to you guys, and I'd be very grateful if you could give this message a read, and I'm happy to keep you updated on any result/rejection. So, Beans, if you fancy a drink after work one day, let me know you heard this, and let's make plans. If this isn't read out, I'll pluck up the courage and ask her myself. This is from Leighton.
Okay, well, good luck.
Good luck.
Let's leave that one. We'll send that one out and see what happens.
But there is a follow-up comment. P.S. And this is incredible. The balls on this guy. Lewis, I'm available for dating tips anytime you need them.
Wow.
What the fuck, dude? You got us to ask her out for you.
What if it's his only move? Okay, first you got to listen to a podcast, okay? And then you got to find out if you can get your message across on this podcast for the people that read that's his only move. That's what his advice is going to be to you, Lewis. So.
Yeah.
You don't need my advice to sabotage your date, dude. I will not help. I will just do Do your best.
Have there
Believe in
been
yourself.
any updates?
Any?
I'm just going to call it updates because it's like date updates.
Oh, for me,
Yeah.
I'm going on a date this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
It took a lot for me to like get back onto it, really, because it was killing me a bit.
Yeah, it had got you
miserable.
quite down. I noticed you were quite down when I was down in Bristol. I could sense there was an ennui.
A little ennui.
A little, just a
little bit of an ennui.
A soupçon of ennui.
I think it's just dating in 2023 is like people are prioritizing their own mental health with it, and I understand why, because the whole online dating thing is a mess.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Leighton has met someone in real life that he wants to ask out. That's so nice.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it's nice that he, in a roundabout way, found out that they have similar interests as well. I think that could be helpful. Because the thing is, I feel like if you go on a date with somebody where you know you both share an interest, at least straight away you have something to talk about. So you kind of have nothing to lose, right? Even if you're not super into the person, you could at least just kind of say, I'll give it a go. You know, an hour or two, coffee, and then we'll have something to chat about. And if it's awkward as hell, I'll just pretend that I'm sick.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could do the heavy lifting for you, because it is awkward to invite someone out on a date. But for us, it's not. It's just funny, right? So if you want to ask someone out, or maybe you got a birthday coming up, send a message to P-Flax.
Yeah. Send a message to P-Flax. He loves this kind of stuff.
Make this like a children's broom closet style TV show where we
and
just say
a very
happy birthday,
6th birthday to Cindy. Love mom and dad and granny and Popsy. Oh,
and she's drawn a picture of Gordon the Gopher here. There's Gordon. Thank you so much, Cindy. Have a great day.
She doesn't know that Gordon has actually been deep fried. It's going to be served to her as her birthday cake.
And regretfully, there was not much meat on his bones, and he did not taste good.
Now here's Johnny Briggs.
like a stringy guinea pig.
Maybe they should call them stringy pigs when they're served.
Maybe they should.
Oh,
that's a good
that's
idea.
actually a good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
All right,
But then they start like using it as an alternative for pulled pork.
Oh, that's true.
'Cause people
Stringy
like
pig.
stringy pig.
I hate pulled pork. Honestly, it drives me mad. Stop pulling the pork. Just give it to me as a chop.
Give
or
it
something
unpulled.
like that. I don't need it pulled. I'm not a baby. Come on.
No.
All right.
Really, you don't like it forked?
It's
Like, how do you feel about the duck when they scrape that with a fork?
I like
He's
that.
not a baby.
I like that. Yeah, because they don't smother it in barbecue sauce. Like, I'm not a big fan of just fucking everything being smothered in barbecue sauce. It's like all I can taste is barbecue sauce. I could have just drunk barbecue sauce. It's just daft. Anyway, let's move on. This is
We
follow-up.
always make that joke with my kids, like when they put too much ketchup or something. We always say like, "Hey, you want some fries with your ketchup?" And they always laugh.
It's one of my favorites.
That is a
classic.
funny
I love
one,
that.
though. Yeah,
It's a classic.
So you
I'd love to know
want
who
a bit of toast with that butter?
Who's the first person who made that joke? I
My
wonder.
dad, probably.
Your dad. Okay, nice. So this is another date story.
I've got a date actually. Well, I told this the other day, but
Let's hear it.
So I was chatting with someone on Hinge, and their two truths and a lie were: I've won the lottery, I'm royalty, and I've got a shark. Right? Which are all, this is great. This is a great one. Right? It's a great two truths and a lie. I see these all the time, and they're always kind of shit. Right? But these are great because you could very easily have won £10 on the lottery.
Exactly.
Right? You could be very distantly related to some foreign realm, or have bought some.
Yeah.
You know, bought a laird ship in Scotland for £10.
Laird ship.
And you can.
And sharks, like you can have a shark in any aquarium. Like
yes, I had one when I was a kid, like
tiny.
a little shark,
little tiny shark. Yeah.
So I like this, right?
What is it?
Anyway,
two truths and a lie?
Two truths and a lie. So which one do you think is
I
true?
suspect
Repeat the options again.
They had won the lottery, and I suspect that they had a shark.
They actually, the lie was that they hadn't won the lottery, so they're royalty. They're royalty sips. This person I'm chatting to.
Oh my god!
Which family? British?
How far
Swedish, French?
Well, I haven't got that info.
Ah.
She said the lottery is a lie. I said that's interesting because I feel like I won the lottery when you replied to me.
You didn't.
Did she ever get back to you?
She has. Well, she hadn't replied. So I said a week later, I sent a message saying,
"Hope
too
you got
cheesy,
my message."
Too cheesy. I wouldn't know I'm vegan. There you go.
Oh,
that's my
God,
follow-up.
you need help.
Do you spend your time doing this?
I really do. I feel like I'm again like a week later still has to reply. But this is not abnormal. I'm not like worried about it. I just
like
feel
the personal trainer all over again.
Yes, you need help. Stop sending these awful messages.
Stop
what are you
speaking
doing?
to people. You're upsetting them.
You're upsetting me. Second hand upsetting.
If I'm not doing it for my own pleasure, why am I even bothering?
Because you might meet someone, you gibbon.
No, but I kind of like that. I want to meet someone that laughs at dad
That's
jokes,
true.
though, right?
That's
like,
true.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, this is just you being you.
This is my personal test for whether or
Right.
not they're actually
That's fair.
have a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's fair. Good luck.
Anyway,
brother.
I'm enjoying it. So I'm messing around.
All right. Here's an email. This is from James. You might remember me from such email. You might remember me from other emails such as "Man fights deer barehander."
No.
You guys seem to love bad dates, so here's a terrible one. Met a girl online. She was a solid 8 out of 10.
Ooh,
FaceTimed her, as is standard for those who've been catfished before, and she was beautiful, sweet, and cute.
Right.
We arranged to meet at Richmond Station, so not far from me. I would drive and she would arrive by train. I parked up nearby, walked to the train station to meet her. Upon arriving at the station, she was not there, but texting her, she was adamant that she was. Then I saw her. I stood frozen, realizing who it was. It was the same person. You could just about tell it was the same person, but we've gone from an 8 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10.
Uh-oh.
As I stood arranging my thoughts, she saw me and ran up, giving me a big hug, and was very friendly.
Right.
And we started walking back to my car to go to the petting zoo. The whole time, my mouth was talking, but I had no idea what I was saying. My thoughts were somewhere else, trying to work out how to get out of this situation. Fortunately,
okay, what happened though? How did it become a 2? Like,
they were just much uglier than the FaceTime had led on.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, the car was not far away. I thought, this is it. It's now or never. If she gets in the car, I'm stuck with her for hours. She went to put her hand on the door, and I stopped her and said, "I'm sorry, I can't do this." She did not understand. I said nervously, "I can't let you in my car." She still didn't understand or thought I was joking. I said, "I'm really sorry you look different to your pictures. I'm going by." And then drove off. For context, this street was extremely busy. She immediately started screaming unintelligibly, and everyone stopped to stare.
Oh.
I ran around to the driver's side, got in, and drove straight to the pub. Everyone I tell this story to says I'm an asshole. I agree. I still feel bad to this day. However, I'm not sure what else you're supposed to do in this situation. Any thoughts? That's a tough spot. I do think that is a tough spot.
It's a tough spot, but it could have been handled better.
What would you have done? Right? I just want to know, what would you guys have done?
I would have probably gone through with it, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have gone through with it, but thought about what he did the whole time and wishing that I'd done what he did.
The
whole time.
I think it's perfectly acceptable to just say, "I'm sorry, it's not going to happen," and leave. Because how is that worse than the rejection of being rejected online? Is it because you've had to get a train somewhere? Don't be. I get it. I mean, why waste your time going to a pet zoo and they're thinking this is going great, and then you're like, "I'm not interested." I think that would be perhaps even more painful. Just nip it in the bud. Bam. Over. Sorry, this isn't going to happen. And leave. I think that's just get it over with. Rip the band.
Yeah, but it's I feel like personally I would go through with it, and I would just try just to see, like, okay, fair enough. It's not who you expect. It's not what they look like.
What happened here? He FaceTimed her. Like, she can't be that fucking different.
Right.
You can't go from an 8 to a 2. Like,
did she have the clown filter on, and they were spending the whole FaceTime laughing about it or something?
I'm just saying, I think it's a tough spot. I mean, if you're immediately thinking, "Oh man, this isn't going to happen," maybe, I mean, not being funny, maybe they were much bigger than they appeared on FaceTime. You don't know. Like, it might have just been, "This is not my thing at all." I think it's very easy for us to say to people, "Oh, that's rude. You should absolutely go through with that date. Think how she feels." I get that, but essentially, it's also a waste of time. This is not going to happen. Nothing's going to come of this.
Really.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, but
why stick around?
You might make a friend or an acquaintance through it or something. Like,
I feel like
just burning. Well, no, not just burning. I feel like nuking the bridge.
But it doesn't have to be like you don't have to get anything out of it, like, or if some sort of future, house in the country with a dog dream. Do you know what I mean? You can just have a nice chat with someone you've just met who you've appeared to have clicked with, at least from FaceTime. Like, yes, fine. Like, these people are interesting. Like, I don't mind talk. I like talking to people. I just feel
if you do like what Lewis was saying a couple of episodes ago, where if you have an idea of somewhere in mind that you wanted to go to anyway, you just didn't have anyone to go with, then you can never really lose, right? Like, if the person is not who you expected, at least you still have somebody to go to see an exhibit or to the zoo or whatever with. You know what I mean? It's
right.
not a complete
I
waste of time.
I'd be more disappointed about missing out the petting zoo.
I think that's a very sweet take. And I'm sure that is the right thing to do. I have no doubt. But I'm just saying I understand why you would just ditch.
Oh, I completely understand. And actually, do you know what? I think you're right. Like, this can happen the other way around as well. I think that, sometimes I've met people up and, sometimes they've got, they don't look like their pictures sometimes in a good way. Right. Like sometimes you're like, wow, you're much hotter than your pictures. And other times it's like, oh, wow, you smoke. Oh, 2 hours into the date, you told me you have a child.
Yeah. I always feel like with a lot of this stuff, it comes back to like treating others as you wish to be treated, right? Like, if somebody did that to me, it would make me feel like shit. Like I would just feel like fucking shit. And I think that is always in the back of my mind if I'm dealing with other people. I always just think, okay, fine. Like I could just leave and, I could probably deal with that, but I'm imagining how I would feel if somebody did that to me, and that would usually be enough to sway me not to on a whim do that,
But do you think let's say you go on the date and they're really obviously having a great time and think it's going well, and you're charming and nice and everything, and then at the end of it you're like, well, that didn't work out for me. I'll see you later. Wouldn't you then think that not only did that seem to go well for you and you were getting excited thinking, oh, maybe this is going to lead somewhere, then the other person doesn't want to talk to you, doesn't want to see you again.
Yeah.
I think in a way that would also be painful.
It would
because now that good time, you were like, shit, I thought it went so well. And you'd start to doubt way much, was it this one thing I said or was it something I didn't do? Like, I think it's very difficult.
It is.
And I personally would rather just know straight up, no.
Sure. But I think if you just if you're just a bit casual about it and a bit laid back about it and you don't set your expectations too high and if you're not like overly keen and stuff, like I feel like a lot of that stuff people pick up on it and it makes the situation worse. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you can just kind of go with the flow a bit and just see naturally what evolves, and if nothing does, then you know what I mean, you just
nothing ventured, nothing gained, I suppose.
Yeah. But like I always say, like, to my kids, like in life, I think it's just a good plan or habit or whatever to have like some sort of backup plan in mind. You know what I mean? Like kids, I think especially have this ability to hype things up to levels that are impossible to meet, especially things that may not even happen. And then they're just devastated when it doesn't happen. Yeah, and you just think, well, listen, this was never a for sure thing. And you were told that this wasn't a for sure thing. In future, you should always have like a backup in mind. Like if this doesn't work out, then you can just say, well, at least I can just go and do this other thing that I wanted to do or whatever. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of rationalization, a lot of justification, you're never going to have a bad time. Yeah, I agree, Sips. But at the same time, like I think that people are frustrated and emotional about this whole thing and kind of annoyed about it. And also like everyone experiences it in a slightly different way. If you're someone who goes on a dating site and you've got all these hits and you're like, trying to like find someone who's good and people are messaging you and you're messaging loads of people back and forth. You're constantly, what it's like when I get a message on Discord or something, someone will send me a message. I'll look at it. I think I'll reply in a minute and then I don't and it drops off the line and I just never reply. Uh-huh. It's not malicious, right? It's just, I've got too much attention, right? Yeah. Whereas on the opposite side of things, if no one's replying and I'm trying to work on this and I'm like, okay, why is this person not replying? Yeah. It can be very frustrating.
It can be.
So I think you've had like from both ends of that spectrum, right? And it depends what your experiences are going in, and it means that you are sometimes reckless with other people just because that's how these things make you.
I suppose,
but it's not mean on purpose.
No. But again, like in a situation like that, if you, for example, reached out to somebody and they haven't gotten back to you, normally what I would do is I'd leave it for a bit, and then I would do a follow up. Just in case, like you said, they were too busy, they couldn't reply or whatever, just to gauge. And then if still nothing, then I would just move on. I would just leave it. Like, there's no way I would just keep following up on somebody, like I think silence says a lot as well, right? Like they just like, if they're not replying or they don't seem at all interested or whatever, like you just leave it and move on.
No, oh my
right?
God,
like,
no, I'm never gonna double text someone.
No,
that one I mentioned earlier.
You've tried those 2 jokes. It didn't work. that's the
I'm
end
not
of
gonna.
it.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna. I'm not gonna send another
yeah.
one. Like,
Well,
do you know
But
what
I mean,
Like,
I feel like some people do though. They just can't.
Oh yeah.
They just can't get past. They can't let it go, and it's just like how much are you going to try to force this thing that already is showing signs of not going anywhere, not working?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like you can't.
Well, but there's 100 reasons.
Yeah.
Like, where you can't. People. Some people are on these apps just for fun. Like, some people are. Okay, there's bots. There's people who are faking their age. You know, there's people who aren't interested in a relationship. They just want to see what's out there. There's people who are in a relationship, but they want to see what's out there. You know, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on, and so you can't get invested. You can't start thinking.
Yeah.
I feel like
anything.
if I used something like that, I would be like that. I would just be pretty loose with it, not take it seriously, and just try to have a fun time or whatever. Like I absolutely wouldn't place like a lot of like faith in the process or anything. I would just hope that every once in a while I could have a chat with somebody that was interesting or
I think
whatever.
It's all well and good to say that, but sometimes you just don't feel that way. Sometimes
of course,
as hard as you work to try and think a certain way about something, it doesn't always.
Well, anyway, James,
you want to believe.
Yeah.
James, thank you for your email. I'm sure everybody's got their own opinions on that.
James,
yes,
I mean, we get it, but I don't know. Maybe not like the greatest play of all time, but
maybe make an excuse up and say, actually, sorry, I can't do it today, or something a little more gentle than literally fleeing the scene of the crime,
slamming the door and
running away. Yeah, my tires screeched and everything.
All right, this is from Sam. For context, my wife worked in a dodgy vet in the poorer part of a town in Ireland a few years back. I'm keeping the depressing stories out of this, so these are just the funny ones.
Okay.
The vet would get
funny dodgy vet stories.
These are actually pretty good. The vet would get expired medication from a pharmacy and resell it as medication for animals. To be fair, it is basically the same stuff a lot of the time, and many people wouldn't have been able to afford the real stuff. Still very illegal, though. And the vet would also self-medicate because he was convinced he knew better than doctors.
Yes.
A person came in convinced their dog was pregnant. It was a puppy and a male. It was just a small kidney problem that caused a buildup of fluid and was easily treated. A person came in with a pregnant cat. They couldn't figure out how the cat got pregnant because it was an indoor cat. After a lot of questioning, it was figured out that the owner had an unneutered tomcat in the house as well, but thought they wouldn't do anything because they were brother and sister. I love that. Border terriers are regularly brought here and shipped over to California for hunting raccoons. Apparently, it's used as some sort of status symbol in certain circles to have a real Irish dog, even though the dog breed is Scottish, which is utterly bizarre. A small Jack Russell managed to eat an entire thick outdoor doormat. One of those home sweet home doormats. Took many hours of surgery, but he was fine.
I had a Jack Russell growing up, and I can believe every word of that. They are insane.
A regular customer would come in to get their dog's nails cut. When she was waiting, she would sing. It was horrible singing, and it would get louder the longer she waited. It made them hurry to get her out of the vet. So here's a tip for you if you're waiting in a queue. Any of those dog food deals like 2 for 1 would never get displayed. The vet would sell them normally and pocket the difference. And they have x-rayed at least one person. Not mafia stuff, just people being dumbasses and didn't want to lose a whole day waiting in a hospital. My goodness, it sounds like a sitcom, this vet.
It does, doesn't it?
It's crazy.
And
bizarre.
Sam has one request. Please stop calling your pets Bella and Lola. Half the dogs that came in had those names. There you go. Your dog's
Bella
called
and Lola. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're just the most vanilla person if you have a dog called that. Reminds me of a story. Well, not really a story. When I was talking to Ravs about this last night for some reason. Pub. When I used to work in an off license, sometimes the stuff got expired, right? And it would be on expiry for a while. You know, I don't know how long you can sell or how legal it was to sell expired goods.
Yeah.
But that would happen often, back in this place. Anyway, after a couple of 6 months and it still hadn't sold or whatever, I just got to take it home with me. And so I ended up one summer where I had all these expired Archer's Aqua, which was like the Bacardi Breezer. Nice. Like the sweetest thing you've ever tasted. It was like peach schnapps and lemonade, like disgusting. And I had and there were all these expired cigars. They were, again, absolutely rank. But I spent one summer playing World of Warcraft, smoking expired cigars, and drinking Archer's Amber. It was
classic.
Nice.
It was really
That
fucking...
sounds like one to remember, actually.
And this is when you had your spiked up, bleached blonde hair.
Do you have the
It
frosted
was
tips?
time.
He did have the
Yeah,
frosted
that was-
tips on his hair.
Lewis Frosted Tips Brindley. You could have called your YouTube channel Frosted Tips.
Frosted tips.
Oh,
Instead of Blue Zephos, just thinking.
I could have done. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
Oh.
Change it to Frosted Tips.
Get him back.
Get them tips back. Get your tips out for the lads.
Get your frosted tips ready.
That's a good look for the poker. Maybe I could go as my.
That could be your poker
Young
name.
Bravos.
You could use that name as a professional darts player as well. They always have like wrestler
Stepping up
names.
to Yoki,
yeah.
Frosted Tips.
Oh shit!
All right, this is an angry email from Ben.
Directed at who?
Me.
Okay.
Hyperion! Exclamation mark. This is dedicated to the
Wait,
guy.
he said Hyperion! Exclamation mark?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound angry. That's like hi. Like that sounds like a
That sounds fine to
That sounds
me.
like
Oh,
a
wait,
good one.
actually, sorry. This is him. Sorry, I missed the first line because
Hyperion.
I thought.
It's like that. It's like
Yeah, Hyperion!
Hi.
This is directed at the guy who said we're all pronouncing Maltesers wrong.
Oh right.
Sincerely, fuck yourself.
Right.
That's like
Right.
me, a Yankee Doodle apple pie loving American, saying all Brits pronounce garage wrong. Or you're saying that we pronounce lasso incorrectly. How about just saying anyone who speaks differently is wrong? There's no committee for proper English. Now, Ben, there specifically are people who detail proper English. They write these books called dictionaries.
Yes.
And there are websites that show you how to pronounce things. And there is a correct way to pronounce things. This idea that you could just... No one's overseeing how we say things. Yes, they are. There are literally people
Yes.
whose job is doing
Funnily
that, Ben.
enough, it's the English who invented English. No?
And garage is like a French word. I doubt it's pronounced garage.
Yeah.
It's garage, I'm pretty sure.
Well,
garage.
garage.
but how do you feel about us calling it Paris, but the French calling it Paris?
So
Are we
I have no
supposed to
problem with
say
that.
it?
No. Because the thing is, the place names that we have in our language for other places are not the same as the one that they have. And that's fine.
Yeah, they don't say
That's
London,
fine.
they say Londres. And they don't
Londres.
say
England. They say Angleterre.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
They have
fair
different
enough.
words,
It's
yeah.
their language. So, like, if I'm not going to step into your language and say, you're saying it wrong. And I don't like it when people do that. Like, I'm sorry if we have an English word for somewhere. That's, you have, whatever your language is, names for our places. That's how that
So
works.
are you saying that in English, Paris is Paris, and in French, Paris is Paris?
Yes.
So you're speaking French if you say Paris?
Yes, absolutely. And if
Yeah.
you're
Right.
going to dip into proper pronunciation of things when you're speaking English, it does sound a bit fucking odd because you're like dipping between two languages, essentially.
Well, but there is also regional dialects of English too. Like, I mean, lasso or lasso. We don't use lassos commonly in
No,
the UK.
they're very uncommon.
No.
I say lasso. Most people, Americans say lasso, like a lasso.
Yeah.
I would say lasso as well. I don't know why. I think it's
No,
just like a
it's just
throwback
do.
to being a kid. I think we just pronounced it that way.
I think
I've
that's how it
always
was
thought of them as
pronounced on
lasso.
telly.
A lasso. No, but in America, it's a lasso.
Like
Like,
certain,
again, if I'm in America and I say lasso and they're like, what are you talking about? I'd understand. Like, I got a bus in New York one time and I asked the guy for a transfer, which is like a ticket that can transfer to other buses. And he didn't know what word I was using. I had to say transfer. And then he was like, oh, a transfer. Like, he literally did not know when I said I need a transfer.
So that's a regional variation of
Yeah.
how that is how it's pronounced.
Yeah. He was like, oh, you want a transfer? Yo, you should have said something. Oh. I was like, all right, but I'm in his country. I'm not going to be a prick about it and be like, actually, it's transfer.
I mean,
but the
it's-
point is, I'm sorry.
There's
It's
a lot of
Maltesers.
different pronunciations, but Malteser is not one I've ever heard an alternate pronunciation
There's
for.
no Maltesers.
like,
It's ridiculous.
There's like tomato, potato, obviously. There's some other ones too in
Right,
there,
yeah.
I'm sure, but
But even in the UK, some people say bath, some people say bath.
Bath.
But I'm not going to go up north and say it's bath, actually. There's accents and there's regional pronunciations,
Yes.
but there are some
Some
words
people say
that are
scone.
not regional.
Scone.
Some people say scone.
Yeah,
I would
does
say
anyone really care?
Some people say GIF, and some people say GIF as well.
Yeah.
So the right way.
Some people say tong.
What, instead of tongue?
Yeah, tong. My dad always said tong, and it's because it's a Derby thing, and also it's a Leicester thing. Penguin says tong,
Really?
tong
Tong.
instead of tongue. Yeah.
That is odd.
It is. It's like a Midlands thing.
Like
but there's
tong
all these interesting
tong,
little
tong,
regional, slightly differently. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. I like finding out these things. But yeah, Maltesers is just wrong.
Yeah, it is. Because that's a
just
brand
rubbish.
name. It's not a regional thing. It's a thing that someone's made.
Maltesers.
It's like, yeah, Maltesers.
I
Now
do
that
like
we're
the
saying it
the
more often,
mispronunciation.
yeah.
I kind of want to say it like that now.
Just to piss people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like microwave.
Microwave. My favorite one is saying debris instead of debris. That drives people nuts, by the way. Like, I'll say it and I'll look in chat and it is exploding with rage. Like
sounds like you're talking about a bris, like the ceremony where they circumcise Jewish kids.
Yeah.
Come to the bris.
I gotta go to the bris. All right. Someone sent in a Triforce Mad Lib.
Right.
This is from Eric. Thank you.
Eric, thank you. Well, wait. I hold my thanks, actually. Let me hear the Mad Lib first.
So we have to type in a bunch of words. I'll ask you for some words, and then he's written a Mad Lib. I've never done these before, but it's a story, and we fill in the blanks, and hopefully it's funny. So I'll give you guys the prompts. It's going to take a while, but I think it's worth it. We need a hero's name. I was thinking Zardy, but I'm happy to go with whatever.
I'm good with Zardy. Let's go with Zardy.
What about
the hero of the moment? He can have our big ups this week as well.
Yeah.
What were the dog names? That Bella and
No,
Lola?
we'll hold those names. We might need them.
Okay. Sure.
So then we need pronouns. We need 3 sets of pronouns. He, she, they, him, her, them, his, her, their. Well, Zardy. So let's go he, him, and his. All right. Adjective 1. What's an adjective? I forgot.
It's a describing word.
I had this exact same thing.
Describes a noun or pronoun. It can be used to describe the qualities of something. For example, the boy is tall and skinny.
Right.
Can we go with hairy?
Hairy. We need other adjectives.
Greasy.
Smiley.
These are not all to refer to Zardy.
Yes. Well, I thought that they were.
No, these are just.
Did you just call Zardy greasy?
No, you guys did.
That's not nice.
No, I just picked a describing word.
All right, we need more adjectives. These are not specifically for Zardy.
Oh, right.
I mean, otherwise I would have put lovely, right? We're not going to put lovely or single.
Moist.
How about
put moist in there?
Moist.
Whimsical.
Oh, whimsical.
Whimsy.
I'm going to put stiff. I love the word stiff. It's
right.
Good.
How about cromulent?
Cromulent. What else? We need one more.
Cromulent.
Yeah.
Gentle.
Genteel.
Yeah.
Genteel. Try that one.
Genteel. Okay.
Genteel.
So we need a verb ending in ed. What are verbs? I've forgotten what verbs are.
They are something like where you
like you
indicates a physical action like drive or think or exist.
Drive, yeah.
So something ed. What about launch?
Dated.
Launched.
Launched a date.
Launched and dated, and then we need one ending in ing.
Fucking.
Flinging? Swinging?
No.
Swinging.
Shitting.
Jesus
All right.
Christ.
Amount of time, e.g. 7 days. How long do we want? I was 7 years popped into my mind.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. All right. And another one.
12 minutes.
7 millennia.
7 millennia.
7 millennia.
That's a long time.
A shop name.
Greg's.
Greg's. An article of clothing.
A thong.
Well, what about a mankini? Let's compromise.
All right, mankini. Yeah, let's compromise here. And then I need a body part plural, the first one.
Toes.
Toes, and then another one, also plural. Teeth?
Ears.
I want to say teeth.
Teeth.
Yeah.
Good one.
Body part singular.
Are teeth a body part?
Well, body part singular has
Funny bone.
Funny bone.
Funny bone.
All right, liquid. It's got to be semen. Amount of liquid. 10 gallons. Favorite song?
Fireflies. You won't believe your eyes. 10 million fireflies.
We need a swear.
Darn.
Fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks. And a swear ending in ing. I like cunting is a good one.
Cunting works.
That's pretty
A rude name to call someone, plural.
Bellend. Bellends.
Bellends. And a rude name to call someone, singular.
Knobhead.
Knobhead. All right. This story is called A Holiday to Remember. As the sun rose over the hills and stretched through the windows of the hairy village, the streets began to awaken, as did our hero. Zardy let out a low groan. Fiddlesticks, he said. He didn't need to look at the greasy calendar on the wall. He knew what day it was. Every year the townsfolk celebrated Triforce Day, to celebrate the 3 heroes of legend. They were Sir Pirion the Egg-Headed, Sir Sips the Many-Kinned, and Sir Zephos the Well-Sponsored. Together they formed the Triforce, a moist team destined to protect the land for eternity by complaining about all the problems in the land for about an hour a week. Zardy hated Triforce Day. He thought the festivities were absolutely whimsical, and the meaning was completely stiff. Why should I celebrate 3 bellends who started a hunting podcast 6 minutes ago?
No, that's perfect. That is perfect. Read that again.
Why should I celebrate 3 bellends who started a cunting podcast 6 minutes ago? A little shaken by his own thoughts.
Ago.
6 minutes. He calmed down by thinking of the American justice system and what a completely fair system of justice it was. With this in his head, Zardy got out of bed, put on a mankini, and stepped outside. He was instantly launched with the sounds of the cromulent holiday. Everywhere he looked, people were shitting old Adele CDs, caroling to the tune of Fireflies, and watching anime with their toes on their teeth. Zardy sighed, adjusted the mankini on his funny bone, and headed off to Greg's. If he could make it back there and back without being jugged, this day might not be too bad after all. About 7 millennia into his journey, he was jugged with 10 gallons of pure semen. He collapsed to the ground and lay in a pool of the semen. He looked up to see who had reduced him to this wet blob. It was none other than actress and model Liz Hurley. Noticing the dated expression on his face, she helped Zardy up and asked, "What's the matter? Don't you know what day it is?" "Of course I know," Zardy replied. "I just don't see why I should care about some genteel podcasters." "Oh goodness," Liz Hurley proclaimed. "You really don't know what this day is about, do you?" Zardy shrugged. "Today isn't just about some genteel podcasters. It's about celebrating correct opinions and shunning incorrect ones. For example, if you think the American justice system is fair, you can fuck right off." Suddenly, Zardy understood. The American justice system wasn't a fair system of justice at all, and he had been a right knobhead. After some brief reflection, he joined with the anime, watching the Fireflies caroling and the Adele CD shitting. Finally, Zardy understood, and all it took was a good jugging from Liz Hurley. He skipped down the road with his semen-soaked mankini flapping in the wind. This was going to be a holiday to remember.
Oh my god!
Wow. Did you add the Liz Hurley stuff, or was that
that was
in the
all
story
in there.
built in? Oh right. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize we'd be getting a new bodega today.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
it's canon.
That's great. Oh god, these are great mailbag episodes, man. They're just so much better than the regular.
I love
ones.
them. They're fun because we can just
hilarious.
kind of read some of this shit and then just talk bollocks about it. I mean, for example, here's one. Lewis is a time traveler.
Right.
Very quick email. Was watching episode 170, March 2021. You were all going on about weird website names when Lewis said something that piqued my interest. Lewis said in a passing comment, "There's a website called X.com owned by Elon Musk," followed by some sly chuckling. Timestamp was around 11:10. Who'd have guessed that this strange X.com that Lewis had found simply by Googling weird websites would then come to be Twitter around 2 years later? It's a very good plan.
Yeah.
Very good point. Maybe Lulu is a...
Maybe he has
time
traveled
traveler.
Through time.
Well, Elon's been talking about making something X.com for a long time, though.
Right.
He tried to change PayPal to, I think.
Yeah, no, he did. And X.
He wanted to change PayPal to X?
Yeah,
he's obsessed with it. He's like a teenage boy. Yeah. X.com. What can happen, though, is he can... This is me being a time traveler for the next 5 years. What he could do is he can have Twitter fail, then buy another business, rename that to X.com, and have that fail as well.
Yeah,
right?
he can
It could be like his
day.
brand. He could like brand all of his businesses that are destined to fail with the X branding, and then
he could like buy up.
That's
Greg's,
the precursor of it.
Greg's.
and then just rename that to X.
I mean, you can't even retweet on X.com. You
X.shop.
repost. So he took a word that had been literally
in
put
the
into the
dictionary.
English language to tweet and to retweet. And he was like, I don't need that kind of branding. The man's a clown. Well, you wouldn't do that. That would be like buying Coca-Cola and deciding to rename it Brown Drink. It's a brown drink. It's just laughable. Oh, so
it is laughable.
do you remember, this is another email, we were talking about Range Rovers and how they're the most broken into cars in London. It's very hard to get
I
insurance
remember
on them.
this conversation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here we go. This is from Dave. Tyrion! Another exclamation mark. Here are my credentials. I appreciate this. This man is straightforward. He's to the point. I'm based in the UK, senior engineer in major car manufacturing. Most of my career was in mechanical engineering and manufacturing, but a few years ago, switched across to our service division, which deals with how to electronically communicate with vehicles.
This is the perfect voice for this person.
Yes.
By the way.
The reason why Range Rovers are stolen is because they have an incredibly easy to exploit security flaw. I will detail at the end of this email. I'm not sure you actually want to share this kind of information on the podcast, but I did want to give you a clickbait title without actually telling you. Some other vehicles have the same flaw, but Range Rover's high price point and particular way their wiring is designed make these the most sought-after targets for thieves. Normally, thieves prefer to steal fast cars so they can get away from the police with them. Audis hit the nice notes of being fast, relatively high value, and reasonably easy to break into. Range Rovers are a slower vehicle than the average thief would like to steal, but they're so easy to break into and make so much money that many can't keep themselves away. To that point, many of us in the automotive industry are up in arms over the car-obesity epidemic we find ourselves in. Cars are getting bigger, more polluting, even the electric ones, less efficient and slower. Why?
Yes.
Because the public have been brainwashed into some kind of road-based arms race where they all want bigger SUV-style cars.
Yes.
These cars cost almost exactly the same to design and produce as normal small passenger vehicles, but we can charge 4 times the price of them and people will happily buy them. Seriously, people need to stop buying cars that cost more to run, perform worse, and are more dangerous on the road, just so they can show off their ugly 4x4 on Instagram. Anyway, I could rant much more on that subject, but in respect of your time, I'll now tell you how to actually steal a Range Rover. And he does then detail how to steal a Range Rover. I will not going to read that out.
Holy crap, my driveway is going to be filled with Range Rovers by the end of this day. I cannot wait.
Essentially, it's an electronic interfacing tool that you can apparently purchase very easily that allows you to steal them.
Oh, right.
I'm not
going to give people any specifics.
It's like, because I got a new remote for my soundbar because I lost it. And it was just like, I was like, oh, right, you could just use generic one.
This is opening a new chapter in my car theft journey.
When you said that you had your new remote for your soundbar, I thought you said you clicked it and a Range Rover turned up in your driveway.
Yeah, you just heard it outside. Whoop, whoop.
Beep, beep. All right, here we go. Lewis, this is a question for you. Last year on Pickaxe Week, last year? No, this wasn't last year. I think he means last month.
No, last year we did one too. We did one last year.
Did we?
Yeah.
But we definitely joked about taking Lewis to a strip club for his 40th birthday.
Last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah, it would have been last year.
Christ. Yeah. Lewis, have you mentally prepared for the night of your life with the 2 best wingmen? And are you still going to a northern shithole for it, as you said?
Wait, Lewis, your birthday's soon, isn't it?
It is. It's in I'll probably by the time this podcast goes out, I'll be 40.
Shit.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm down for Jingle Jam, we're gonna go hit the stripper. All right, we'll get down there, son. It'll be late.
Sure, I'm sure there's some.
You.
I'm not going to say who, but there's some lads in the yachts who have been. I've recently found out have been drunkenly hitting the strip club.
Yeah.
And I was shocked.
I've heard murmurs of this myself, and I haven't been to Bristol in years, and I'm hearing about
the editors
this.
bleep the names. Editors bleep the names, but Lewis, tell me who it is. Oh, why does that surprise
well,
you?
Who else would it be? Jesus Christ!
Why does
who
that
else is
surprise
go?
you? Come on, man. All right.
Uh,
Hi, Triforce. I wish to remain anonymous, and sorry for the lengthy email. Okay, I tried cutting it down. I've been working as a police...
No problem, Doreen.
I've been working as a police officer for the past 6 years, seeing and experiencing some interesting things.
Oh,
Recently, we arrested a man for being aggressive/racist toward a bus driver in a nearby pub.
Right.
On the way back to the sergeant's custody room, we have to keep an eye on the prisoner to ensure he's okay, didn't try anything to escape or harm himself. For the life of him, this guy would not shut up, screaming, calling us names, informing my partner and I that we had tiny penises, before revealing his own especially small penis, and proceeding to play with it. When we finally arrived at the police station, opening the rear prison section of the car showed how creative he'd become, smearing his excrement, decorating the insides, and butt naked in the middle of an extremely vicious wank. Unfortunately, this happens much more often than you would think.
Holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Question. If you were in a wrestling match with someone or held hostage, what distraction or defensive instinct would you come up with to escape? Thank you.
Can I just say this, though? This person who has done this will be let out at some point. Surely they could just take pictures of that scene, or maybe even videotape what's happened in the back of that truck and take that to the parole hearing, in case there's any doubt in anyone's mind, like what this person is capable of. Because I think that's crazy. I don't want that person back on the streets. I think somebody who's doing that is insane.
The American justice system.
This is the
we
UK.
Need to crack down.
This is the UK.
That is wild. That is just insane. Like to be. I don't know how you get to that point in your life where that's what you're doing. You like even to come up with that in the first place.
Crack is a hell of a drug.
Fuck me, man. Like, that is really worrying behavior, though,
well,
isn't it?
These guys aren't getting locked up, ever. I guarantee you they're not getting locked up. And I'll tell you how I know that. Because there was an article today.
I'm one of them.
Because I walk the streets daily.
Fucking hell.
Because this story's about me.
This is a pretty dark story, but this has come out today. This is a legal story. Convicted rapists and burglars will be temporarily spared jail from next week after judges were told that the country's prisons are full. That is happening in the UK now because apparently the prisons are just overflowing. So they are not locking a guy like this up. Our justice system is in such a fucking terrible state.
Let's just get a volcano to chuck some of these guys in.
Just volcano them, yeah.
Just chuck a few of them in every couple of days. It's like when the sewage overflows, it all gets pumped into the sea. We need a prisoner pipe. I'm pretty sure we've talked about that before. I don't care
specifically what they do, but do not let those guys out again. They cannot. They're not allowed. They cannot function. Okay,
they're not getting locked up. That's just the way it is.
There's a big difference between those two kinds of criminal, though. P-Flax,
I agree, but I'm just saying these guys they're not getting locked up. So they're not going to lock up Mr. Smear Shit on a police car. You'll probably get a fine and some kind of community order or whatever. I mean,
can you just leave him in the back of that van for a couple hours just to sort of say like, you've made your bed, now it's time to lie in it?
Bring back the stocks, I say. Get someone in the stocks.
How do you feel like appropriate? Like, how do you feel about, like, imagine a sort of prison, right, for burglars only, where all their stuff gets nicked, all the time. Like, they have, like, it's like a setup.
I think that is just prison, yes. That's the thing, though. You're like, most people are like, yeah, I hope they go in and all the same. Yeah, it does. That's prison, because like most of them are animals, and that's how they live in there. They fucking kill each other. And
I have a much rosier outlook.
All right, well, let me tell you something. This is from Dan. All right, this lad works in the Australian prison system. Follow-up email. Okay, work as a private contractor within the prison system in Australia. The company he works for takes prisoners to court.
I'm bracing myself for some misery here.
Indeed, and to appointments and stuff, guardsmen, hospitals. So he's not actually in the prison.
Right, it's more like logistics. Like taking them
hither and thither.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So here are some stories they get a lot of these stories from the prisoners and from the guards, I guess. A fire was started in one of the cell blocks recently. They do this by sticking a mattress up against a wall, and they jam metal into the power point that they have in the cell, so it sparks and the mattress catches fire. Smoke everywhere, and they do that to cover a bashing happening in an adjacent unit. So when all the guards run to put out the fire, someone's getting clobbered in the next unit.
Right.
I've been to a maximum security to collect a prisoner once to take to an appointment. A tiny cell with a concrete bed, a thin foam mattress, toilet, sink, blanket, a skylight. That's it. And maybe a TV recessed in a wall behind perspex. So they might, I mean, that's literally all you get in max security. The main reason I'm typing this was to explain something called bronzing. Do you know what bronzing is?
No.
Good grief. I assume it's all the people I've seen on Instagram with that makeup.
Indeed, yeah. Well, this is the prison version of that. People cover themselves in a combination of piss and shit, thinking that the guards will leave them alone. This is called bronzing. Instead, it just makes the guards really angry. They dress up in full stormtrooper garb and riot shields and pound the fuck out of them.
Jesus Christ.
What is this fucking world that we live in? It is insane.
It is insane.
How is this happening?
It's wild. Absolutely wild.
God.
All right, Lewis. And I guess Sibs, but I remember your specific term, Lewis. This was about what you put relationships the wrong way around when it comes to age difference, which is an older woman and a younger fellow. Figured I'd write this because this is right up my alley. My fiance and I met while I was working at a diner. I was 19. She was a customer, aged 28. We have been together for 8 years now.
Right.
We're about to welcome our first child, named Christoph.
Oh.
Named after the actor Christoph Waltz. Sorry.
Congratulations.
3 weeks ago. As a younger man.
Also named after him as well.
There you go. I've always been attracted to older women. My time dating women at the age of 19 was not a great experience, and I found older women more mature. They know what they want, and they don't toy with you, at least in my experience. Also, my parents have a 10-year age gap the correct way, quote unquote. So I've never
wait a second.
found that size age gap off.
Wait a second. He's saying that an older woman knows what they want, right?
Yeah.
what if you're as I am, 40? And what if I was dating a 28-year-old woman who, by your definition, is an older woman who knows what she wants?
Right. But she knows what she wants relative to a 19-year-old.
Right.
And I think most women, most people really, by the time they get to their late 20s, early 30s, are pretty much now, they're mature, they've been around a bit, they know what they want, and they've experienced some good and some bad. What does a 19-year-old know? Like, no offense to any 19-year-olds out there.
No, a 19-year-old, okay, more specifically, what does a 19-year-old guy know? Because most guys don't really progress much after the age of like 14, right? Like, like their mentality towards things and everything.
I'd say once you get a little older, you start to mature a bit. But yeah, when young men in particular, we're idiots. Like, I was a complete moron when I was 19.
I still am.
But imagine how stupid I am now. Imagine me now at 19. I was unbearably stupid.
Oh my God, I was fucking more insufferable than I am now.
Yeah.
Like,
I actually think this is great, and I don't have a problem with it. I think that it's just unusual. It is. I think women tend to date up, or at least a little can do, around their age, whereas men tend to date a bit further down. Like, it just is like that. In our society, so it is less common, right? I'm not saying it's weird. I'm just saying it's less common.
So here's my question: why then did you refer to it as the wrong way round? Instinctively.
Well, because Zardi was 26, right?
Yeah,
she was 32.
He still is probably. But
there's a lot more. There's a lot.
I think this is recent.
I mean, I did have an email though, so I'll help you out a tiny bit. I did have an email from someone pointing out that one of the main reasons, this is from a woman, saying that, yes, when women get older, obviously they tend to be thinking about kids and stuff like that. I mean, that woman that Zardi met had a child. So if you're in your 20s, your early 20s, or you're 19 as a young lad, maybe you're not ready to have kids at the same time as they are. That, I think, is why it's okay to say it's the wrong way around, because it by the usual pattern that relationships take, she's going to be thinking about babies while you're just thinking about going clubbing because you're 22 and maybe she's 32. That I think was your point.
The other way round, I guess, would be Zardi dating an 18-year-old, right? Whatever, a 6 years, 20-year-old, which again is not ideal. But the other way, but also, which I guess just shows how much the age gap is at that. It's more exaggerated at that younger age, right? But also, the alternative would be she's 32. She could be dating a 38-year-old guy. That seems more normal, I guess, to be someone who would take over as a stepdad almost, in that, which is kind of what you would be doing if you were in a relationship with this person for any amount of time.
I'm just thinking right now how amazing it would be if Zardi, not only to the one person he dated, but to everyone he ever came into contact with, did this thing where he was like, "Do you have children?" And they're like, "Yes, two." And he would always just turn around and say, "They are now known as Zardi." He's just like Princess Brenda. He forces every person that he meets to rename their children Zardi.
To his Zardi.
Oh my God.
That would be so funny.
That would be so good.
It's kind of gender neutral, you know. It could be a girl or a boy's name.
They are now Zardi.
They are now Zardi.
You have to do it in like a sort of mystical way as well.
Yes, they are now Zardi.
Yes.
You don't even know if it's a name or it's a state of being.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like
it could be
elevated.
like loved one.
It's a bit like, it'd be like a little bit like Papa Lazarou from League of Gentlemen.
Oh, you're my wife now.
Fuck me.
You are Zardi.
You are Zardi now.
Both of you.
Both of you, Zardi.
You're all Zardi.
I have some pegs belonging to you. Hello, Dave. I love that.
I love that.
Hello, Dave.
It's so fucking weird.
So weird.
Holy shit.
So I watched an interview about where Papa Lazarou came from. And it's because their landlord, his last name was Mr. Papa Lazarou. Like, that was his name. Because it's like a Greek name. Yeah. So he would call up, and whenever one of them would answer, he would always say, "Is that Dave?" He'd say, No, this is Reese. He goes, "Dave there." He goes, "I talk to Dave, please." Like, he only wanted to talk to one of them. They did that impression just to amuse themselves. And they thought, actually, there's a character here. Like, that's so funny. All right, last one. This is an email for you,
Hello,
sis.
Dave.
Hello, Dave. Sorry, no, this is not Dave. Dave there. No, Dave's not there. You get Dave,
It's fucking
please.
so good.
All right, this is a request. This is from February. Sips mentioned his son was watching a new remake of Fraggle Rock. To the surprise of all present, Lewis